What's up, folks? This is Victor Cruz with the Victor Cruz Acting Studio Podcast. This is officially episode number 16. And we've got special guest in the house. The world knows him as Rick Herrera, but he's known to me as my spiritual brother as Wind. And you'll find him on Facebook as Rick Wind Herrera. Without further ado, please welcome my brother, Wind.
Oh, wow, this is nice. Got a little claps. Can you raise up the crowd?
Raise up the crowd a little bit? Yeah, no problem. Definitely. Hold on a second. Is that good for you?
That's way better.
Because I know you're used to. Can we double it? Sure. We can definitely double. Dope. Let's just let me see. Can we double? You know what? Next time you're on the show, we'll double it. We'll double the crowd. It's just, we're still getting used to our system here. And I know, you do so many shows, you usually ask for a double crowd.
I actually do. Yeah.
So you have a section for the first crowd.
I have a laugh track.
And then behind, you have a laugh track for your shows. So great, mate. Brother, welcome to my podcast, man.
No, this is dope, man. Thank you for inviting me, and I like your setup here.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
I like you're also sponsored by Coke.
Coke is not currently sponsoring us.
We have a lot of cans around.
I have a lot of cans floating around because I get thirsty, and that's the best way to quench your thirst. It's with soda and not water. So it's a good thing. If you ever work out, you should drink soda, not water.
I heard great things about those protein
That's right.
soda shakes.
That's protein soda shakes by Coca-Cola. Welcome, brother. Okay, we've got a lot to cover because this is the first time I'm having you on the show. Mm-hmm. So we're literally going to start from sperm cell to your success to being a father, using your own sperm to create a baby. But we'll start with your father's sperm.
We'll start with my sperm.
Yes,
my
not
father's
well.
sperm. My father's
it got
sperm.
weird. It got weird because if it's your sperm and then you were born,
mom, but that's a different story.
You had an affair with your mom. Edit this complex.
Let's
right.
cut to the crowd again.
Sure. That's the laugh track from your show. That's the laugh track from your show. They just keep laughing. Shut up. So, okay. So your father and mother get together.
Right.
What position are they doing to make you?
I would assume doggy style because it was easy for my father to leave just like he left me.
Got it. That's always the best way to do it. And he was pretty short, right? So
I think
doggy style might have been the right position for him.
Yeah, he was short. My mom was long. She's
very tall. She's very tall.
So definitely doggy style.
Yeah. She's in the clouds, and no pun intended. She's so tall. I asked her, "How's the weather up there?"
Yeah, she's
good.
She was super super tall. I remember when I surpassed her in height. I was like, "Oh, okay."
Wow. So you're taller than your mom now.
Yeah.
You are tall.
Legend has it that on my father's side, I have aunts that are 6'6".
What?
Yeah.
But what happened to him? They chopped his legs? Is he walking on his knees?
I don't fucking know. Maybe, I don't know. They're punishing him.
They're punishing him
but
for leaving you.
He had a big ass dick, so.
Wow. So maybe it wasn't his shins went to his.
Yeah. The height that he was supposed to have went
there. Yeah. Wow. So did your mom share that with you? Like, oh, your father's a bastard, but he have a big dick.
There was a moment.
You were 5.
I remember there was an argument about that. Not just your father's only good for one fucking thing, and because he's fucking all around these with women in the streets and stuff like that. So I would assume if he's picking up these women in the street that he was pretty good.
I bet you saw your mom. He's like, that's a challenge. She's tall.
Yeah.
Let me get a chair.
Why is he Mexican?
I don't know. Your dad's not Mexican?
No, he's Dominican.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, so he did the accent to get my mom. My mom had a Mexican fetish.
Right. Yeah. That's what it was.
She was like, "I'm Ricky."
So he uses a chair. They make love. I think they made love.
Yeah.
You were born.
Then I was born.
But you're child number what?
Number 3.
Number 3.
First of all, I wasn't even technically supposed to be
You don't even know where you are right now. No.
Not at all. No, I wasn't supposed to be here. When my mom got, when she found out she was pregnant, she was already a good amount of months in, and she was already in her, 41. So from what she told me, when she went to the doctor, blah, 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 I guess for a regular checkup, and she was feeling some type of way, they was like, yeah, you're pregnant. And she was like, what? That can't be, blah, blah, blah. I think it was that almost, and then I think she said also like my sister was there, my sister was there, and she was thinking in that moment to already have an abortion.
Your sister was like, have an abortion, have an abortion.
No, it was the opposite. So
your sister saved you.
Yeah, because my mom was already thinking about an abortion, and then my sister goes and says, no, mommy, I want a brother. I want you to bring the baby home. I want you to bring the baby home. And then literally she went to my grandmother, which is her mother, and she was telling her.
Thanks for clarifying.
I wanted to make sure that you guys know the family truth.
Yeah, of course.
So then after that, she goes to my grandmother and says, "Listen, my dad's an asshole. I don't know if I want to bring a child into here with this guy, blah blah blah." And then my grandmother says, "If you got pregnant, around this time, then it's meant for you to have this child. And when he comes out, he's going to be there for you. And he's going to do great things, and you should have this child." So between my grandmother and my sister, my mom was like, "Okay, I'm going to have this child." And then boom, I come out and I destroy my mom's vagina because I was super tall and had a big head.
So you're the same height that you are now.
Yep.
The day you're born.
Yeah. I'm in the Guinness World Book of Records.
And it takes like weeks for them to remove you from your mom.
Yep. And
this is the longest the longest, birth in history.
For some reason, I don't know why it wasn't in the histories about it. I just swept it under the rug.
Wasn't enough room in the books.
Yeah.
All the fiction they've already written in the history books.
Yeah.
Not enough room for truth. Naked truth.
Exactly. But yeah, that's how I got here.
That's great, man. That's great. You should thank your sister every day for saving your tall ass.
I'll think about it.
You'll think about it. Do you have a good relationship with your sister?
We started off really good. We was very close. And then certain things started happening. Like I started losing my trust in her. Because I used to go to her and tell her things, and then it used to just spread to my mom, and then it spread to everybody. And I have like a huge thing for that. And then like with that, that pissed me off with her. And then I'm like, yo, what the fuck? And then we was young too as well. We just snitched on each other after
so
that.
You snitched on her, but it was okay for you to snitch on her.
Afterwards.
So she made you snitch on her after she had snitched on you several times.
She snitched on me plenty of times.
Plenty of times. It was like a regular thing for her. Just to tell your business out there.
Yeah. So then after that, we kind of and then she did little home stuff too around that time. So she's way old. Well, what, 11
She's
years old?
She's very old.
Yeah, she's 11 years old.
She's 80.
Yeah, so
she's older than your mom. Somehow.
There's another miracle there.
Yeah, which is not in the books.
Yeah, not in the books. They just swept it under the rug.
Somebody was there sweeping, which is funny. We don't know their name. They were there sweeping things under the rug.
So then that happens, and then then I was going through my own shit too. Like our family, we're not really close. Like we keep in contact, and we never was big on big family things together. And then from there, I always was like private and in my own world anyway. And then we just talk here and there, and we got closer. Like I would say in the past 2 years and stuff, like we're talking more and stuff like that, keeping in contact. It's like the mutual, hey, how you doing? How's everything? Blah blah. Because they know also if something's going wrong or whatever, I'm not gonna go to them to be like, oh my god, I'm dying or whatever, until hey, actually tomorrow I'm dying. So forgot to tell you that.
What time? 3:30. I don't know.
When has actually at 2:30. And I'm like,
what you should do now is you should set up a space in which your sister can just confide in you and just share something that is so deep, so important to her, and then just put it on blast. Put it everywhere. Be the CNN, just
and
everywhere.
And it was remember when I was 11.
Got you back, bitch.
I don't even explain the scenario.
Te recuerdas. You just start talking to her in Spanish.
Yeah, so we're pretty, I love her. She's super, supportive too and stuff like that. And also she has her own way of doing things, and personality-wise, we're all very strong. So we clash, and also we love each other a lot too, so.
That's great, man. So was there a lot of love in your house growing up? Did you find that it was a warm environment? Was it cold? Was it rough? I mean, what was your life growing up?
It was good. There was a lot of great moments where there was a lot of love from my mom, and then from my sister too. But it was like only 3 of us basically. And then there was a phase we celebrate Christmas and stuff like that. And I think once I turned 12 or 13, things just we wasn't really celebrating Christmas, and things just became the norm of like, all right, cool. It was just us and being small. And then I grew up in Brooklyn, Brownsville, so it was a tough neighborhood. So that was fun. You had your great moments of, being bullied, but also cracking jokes with the dudes in the block and stuff like that. It was. Now,
who was bullying your tall ass?
I wasn't that tall, dude. Like when you're in gangs and shit, like
they'll stab your kneecap.
Yeah, we get 4 dudes to fuck you up.
Yo, we can't jump him. We'll jump his legs.
Yeah, exactly. But nah, it was like the occasional bullying of jokes,
right.
And that's when I kind of learned like, let me try to be the funny guy, so I at least won't get beat up and stuff like that. So it was a loving family, but I think I was different in the sense that they were still trying to figure me out, because they knew I was different. Not in a bad way. That Ricky has his moments where he's quiet, the guitar, I'm in his room. He's funny with his friends, but he's here in the house. He's quiet, blah blah blah. So, and then my mom was did everything she can for her kids. Like that came like number one to her. Super overprotective.
Right.
Gave a lot of love, but also we had our own battles too, because I think every young kid as well has those moments where they're not seeing their parent, their mom as a human being. They're seeing them as just a parent and all that stuff. So yeah, and then my brother, he was super older, so like there's a huge gap, right?
He's 80. Yeah, he was 80 back then.
He's 50 something.
Yeah.
My sister is in her late 30s, and. Oh, no, she's in her 40s. She's in her 40s.
You don't even know.
I don't even know. Yeah, I'm bad with like dates and birthdays and stuff. She's in her 40s.
Yeah.
And here I am. Like, I'm pretty much the baby, and I grew up alone. My best friend, Carlos, that was like, a brother to me. So I would hang out with him a lot.
Now, let's talk about Carlos for a second. And I was also going to ask you, in your family, before we get to Carlos, was there somebody that you considered like your favorite, somebody you could always turn to that was there to support you when, let's say at home, things weren't going so well, but you could always turn to this family member who would show you love?
That's a great question. I don't think I had that I felt like I was comfortable enough to go someone to really talk to, that what was going on and stuff like that. Because sometimes I felt I wasn't being understood, or if I was being understood, it was like, you just get over it, it'll be all right. So,
right.
Which it is true, but at that time, I think, in your teen years, you want more. So, yeah, I would talk to Carlos too, and I feel like
Carlos is your best friend.
Yeah, from the, from
the neighborhood or from the school?
From Brownsville, yep. And, we would talk a lot because his family was similar too, in a sense. So we would talk about those things, but then we'll just crack jokes and whatever. But the one person, honestly, that I always was going to was my guitar. That's the one person that is a true friend that would never leave me. I will leave it because there's times that, I don't want to play it. But whenever it's there to pick it up, it was right there.
So you got 2 best friends. You got Carlos and your guitar.
Yeah.
2 people you can rely on. Of course, your guitar is always there for you.
Right.
Never leaves you. And you can always create. You're in your room by yourself.
Right.
Tell me about a really funny time, if you can remember, with you and Carlos, something that was just one of the funniest moments that you can remember and maybe left an impression with you or changed your life, and who knows. But there's always like that one moment with a friend that you go, man, there was this one time this crazy shit went down.
Okay, I can remember, and it just hit me now. We used to go clubbing a lot, all of our friends and stuff like that. And
was there a certain kind of cologne you used to wear back then?
Because we used to have Curve, Cool Water. those were like the gems of that time. It was affordable and left a nice impression.
There was always like everybody wore the same cologne, so like there'd be like 4 guys going to a club. Yo, Shun, we all smell like Curve.
Curve and Cool Water. Yep, that was our shit. His brother Sandro definitely put the Cool Water phase in us. But I remember
he was older because Cool Water was when I was in high school. Yeah, exactly. And everybody smelled like Cool Water or Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit was another one. Fahrenheit was definitely another one.
These are like hood hits.
Yeah. All these hits and more.
Like you could get like if they'd had like a hood Christmas set, it would be Fahrenheit, Curve, and Cool Water.
Yeah, that's definitely the hood set. But you won't get it at Macy's. It's the crackhead that's selling it.
Definitely outside of Walgreens.
Yep. Not even the top is missing.
Yeah.
Just
and he wrote it with a Sharpie. He wrote holiday gift set.
Yeah. But a funny moment I could describe, like Carlos, he got super drunk and we was at this lounge. And for some reason, he was in this phase of like smoking Black and Milds now. Yeah. So it's 4 a.m. and, you know, there's a whole bunch of mixture of people in there. Spanish, Black, Latino, you know, whatever, white. So we get out and Carlos gets out. But in this moment now, there's a whole bunch of like Black people trying to get like a cab, stuff like that, a whole bunch of dudes together there. Carlos comes out, he's super drunk. He goes, "Yo, where the Blacks at?" And I'm like, "What? Don't."
He was talking about
the Black and Mild.
The Black and Mild.
But he came out like, "Where the Blacks at?" Carlos is super white. He looks Jewish.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, "Shut up." Shut up's like, "I just want the Blacks." I was like, "Just shut up." He's like, "The Black and Mild." I was like, "You can't say that right now."
Then you see the Black folks like, "We ain't mild now."
Yeah,
you know?
Yep. And then after that, like he went to go pee, and then like we was fucking with him because he pulled his like, you know, drawers halfway down. He's peeing on a tree, and we tell him like, yo, the police coming. He runs. He starts running. His pants falls down in his underwears. He trips over them, and he's on the floor. And then when he gets up, he's just all bloody with the scars on his knees.
Oh, jeez.
And the next day, we go to his house. He was like, "What the fuck happened to me?" I was like, "What are you talking about? Why am I all scarred up with blood?" I wake up and I look like a murder scene. The white sheets had blood everywhere. And it was like, well, one, you yelled, "Where the Blacks at?" We'll start there.
And this went down.
2, you peed, and then you thought the cops were coming and you bust your ass and you tripped over it. So that pops into mind. A whole bunch of like other things of just us always just going upstairs to crack jokes, watch comedy. And
Carlos introduced you to comedy because I've heard the story about him. Well, not that he introduced you to comedy, but he shared something with you or gave you a gift that inspired you to think about comedy as a possible journey.
Yeah, it wasn't Carlos. It was my friend Jose. Okay. He was also from the block. And then, you know, he passed away. But before he passed away, we used to play handball a lot.
Mm-hmm. Hood sport.
Yeah, hood classic along with the Cool Water.
That's right. Actually, the handball comes in the same holiday gift set.
That's the gift. You know how they always throw an extra gift?
Yeah, extra bonus gift. Act now and you get this for free.
Yep, you get the handball. So it was Jose, and I remember we playing handball. He keeps reciting these jokes, and it was funny. He was like, "Yo, you gotta watch George Lopez. You gotta watch George Lopez." And I'm like, "Well, where is it?" And he was like, "Oh, on the Latin Kings of Comedy." He's like, "Just watch that part. Just watch his set." Mm-hmm. And he's like, "I'll give you the DVD." He gives me the DVD, and I was like dying laughing. I'm like, "Yo, that was hilarious." But the bug really came before that was like one of the. I feel like there was 3 steps of approval that this is the route I should go. First one was watching Eddie Murphy Delirious. I was a teenager, and I'm like, I want to do what he's doing. I can remember that was the first time ever of me laughing with tears coming down. I never experienced that. And I was like, wow, I didn't know you can do that or even feel that. And I was like, I want to do what he's doing, being on stage performing. Second was Jose with the DVD. Then third, everyone telling me in high school, especially when we're about to leave, yo, you got to do comedy. You got to do comedy. You got to do something, whatever, acting. Those are like the 3 kind of like things that like it keeps on reoccurring.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's great, man. Yeah, I remember the first time I saw Delirious, I felt the same way. Delirious is still like my favorite concert for Eddie until, you know, obviously he's coming out with a new concert, and this will be a new version of Eddie, and I look forward to it. I can't wait to see. But I remember Delirious is one of those concerts that really inspired me a great deal. Yeah. Between him and Martin, George Carlin.
And I watch a lot of like, you know, comedy in the house. So like the Wayans brothers was big, the Martin was big. I can remember those shows making me laugh and then making my mom and my sister laugh. Like I could vividly like remember those moments of us laughing together. So to me, sometimes it wasn't so much of like that you have big Thanksgiving dinners or Christmas things. what sticks out to me is those moments of when we actually was watching something.
Mm-hmm.
It was like we was laughing together for that moment, and I was like, oh, this is dope. I want to do that somehow.
What did comedy serve for you? Because I'm sure it serves something different today, but back then, you know, you found comedy, and when I met you, I mean, you've always been a hilarious person, whether it's on stage, but I met you off stage, obviously, and you hilarious. I mean, you make me laugh so much. On stage, you're hilarious as well. But back then, you know, you found comedy. What did comedy serve for you then that's different from what it serves for you now?
Back then it was an escape. It gave me it showed it was almost a safe haven where the house wasn't always constant laughter, but I could turn on the TV and laugh. And so it gave me that escape of like, okay, if I'm not even before the guitar was in the picture, it was just an outlet to
So the comedy was first.
To laugh, and then and just watching old movies. My uncle played a big role in music as well. You know, he used to take me sometimes with road trips, and we would listen to a lot of old soulful music. But then he would come sometimes on Sundays, and before he took a nap in my bed, we would watch like what was his name, Gene Wilder, and Richard Pryor. Some of the
like
movies,
Stir Crazy,
and he would be dying laughing. We would watch it together, Spaceballs and stuff like that. And yeah, so it served like an outlet just to laugh and escape, whatever I was feeling or whatever. I'm like, this is cool. So I felt like it served happiness for me, in those moments. Yeah.
Do you find that, and we're going to get into a lot of other stuff, but what does comedy serve today? Now that you've obviously had a very interesting journey, which we'll talk about in a second. You've had a very a great spiritual journey that has helped in the process of you creating your own content, your own shows, your own music, really being independent, your own podcast, which is very successful. Right now you're in season 2 of your podcast, and you've got a lot of great interviews there.
Which my wife produced and co-created, so shout out to her.
Shout out to Spiritual Cloud, Alexandra Gutierrez in the world, and of course the two of you recently got married and you have a baby.
Right.
What does comedy serve for you today?
Healing, and also
yourself or other people.
No, it's never. I never. That's one of the things that I learned from our spiritual teacher, Guru Enlightenment. Because I remember when I first wanted to write a show. It was like split up. It was like, I'm gonna write this for me and also for everyone else to be affected. And she told me, it's not about everyone else. It will eventually reach them, but don't have the intention to write for them. So when I write comedy or this stuff that I do, it's healing for myself. So it definitely healing. It gotta heal. If I don't heal myself, there's no way I can heal others. You know what I'm saying? Or if I don't inspire myself, there's no way I can inspire others. The other is not even in the picture when I'm like writing or creating. It's really about what are you going to face? What are you going to talk about? So I have a process that I do, before, when I start writing and stuff like that and keep notes. But the comedy, when I'm writing, it's really searching for answers. It's really accepting things that happen, reflecting, and moving forward, and also being honest. Maybe some things still need time to heal, but it's a reflection of things that happen that I have to like look in the mirror of myself with these pages and these memories and find a way to cope, learn, and move forward. So it's definitely a healing thing. And then I could laugh at it. I'm like, oh, shit. And still feel some type of weight about it. Like, it still sucks. But, all right, cool. I took responsibility now, and I could, like, do my thing.
So you have 3 shows under your belt. You've got The Naked Truth. You've got Still Naked. And you have Fear, which was an evening of music.
Yeah, it was music.
And stories, sort of, right?
Yeah, I think that was more like a concert than anything.
More of a concert.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, even though the work that we did told stories, but I think for me the intention was to do like just wanted to do music and also collaborate with people and stuff like that. So yeah, and then the other two was just one-man shows.
All 3 shows, huge successes, really great. And what's great about the 3 shows is that you have allowed yourself to tackle issues that have affected your life, things that you've gone through. And I'm not sure if for you, did you find that in the process of creating those 3 shows, was that also part of the healing of some of the areas that you were talking about?
So you're saying like while I was doing those shows, was
creating those shows helpful for you in your healing, or did you feel that you had already come to terms with some of the subject matter you were tackling, but here you were sharing it with the audience, now already have dealt with it? Were you still healing in some areas? Were they helpful for that journey?
Yeah, they both. So I'll put the first 2 together, the one-man shows. They were very helpful in the healing process. And even when I was performing it, right? Like I still was learning from it. There's a different area that maybe one day, performing, I felt certain things and more than others than when I didn't write before. So they both served a huge purpose in my healing, to face things in my life. One like different phases, like writing them, then once it's done, accepting it, and then the other phase is actually living it, going through it, digging deeper, and then now the other phase is being on the stage and accepting it, and performing it and going through the motions now. So it's like a big pot of phases when you go through those. And then the musical, the concert, it was just the simple thing for that was like I just always wanted just to do music like live, and that's it. And I wanted to I just wanted to do that. So like in that process, like I wasn't looking for anything to heal from, because I was using songs that I did in the past and also some new ones.
Some new stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so that one for me was just it was just simple. I want to have fun and do music live, like a concert. I always wanted to do like a concert. But in the process too, like, during the rehearsals, I learned certain things about myself, playing with others and the guitar. So it was like different. It wasn't so much like I'm doing this show because I gotta heal something deeply. I know I'm gonna. So it was more of like a goal. I want to do a concert. Yeah. All right, so let's do this. What I have to do now to make this happen. The other 2 was like, I want to do a show, but damn, I know if I write these shows, I'm gonna go through a tough fucking journey, and I gotta face a lot of shit. So let me figure that out.
What haven't you tackled yet that you're looking forward to tackling?
A porn musical.
That you have to let me know if you're auditioning. I want to be present.
Absolutely, you're number 1 on the list.
Thank you.
We have your headshot, the bottom headshot. What I haven't tackled yet. I don't know. It's a good question. I think I didn't. Oh, okay. Record an album. Not even an album yet, but record some singles, which I'm kind of like in the process of looking into, and want to collaborate with someone that I like in their music and stuff like that. So eventually, keep it simple, right? Eventually, I would like to do an album, but let's do it small first. Let's do one song. Let's do a single and see how that goes. I'm very big on, if what I see in my head does not become that reality, I'm not going to sell myself short. I'm not going to put something out there that didn't match what's in my head and doesn't match what I see out there quality-wise. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like we watch a lot of movies and a lot of stuff that's on TV, and I feel then it should be up to that level, whether story-wise, not even production-wise, I'll forgive, you know what I'm saying? Because we don't come from millions of dollars of studio stuff like that. But story wise,
not
yet. So to keep people engaged and stuff like that, it has to be up to that scale of like kind of like what I see, you know, because when I watch those shows and stuff like that, I see myself, I can do that. You know what I'm saying? I can do those, that role, or I can see myself in a film like that, you know, or yeah. So yeah.
Do you find that, you watch shows and on TV and you watch films and the caliber of where they are production wise is one thing, but do you find that you and them match when it comes to the quality of what you're saying and the material and the subject matter? Is that the same?
Right. I think, yeah. Like when I watch people that like I enjoy watching, have respect for, like Ava DuVernay and stuff like that. The John Leguizamo's just out there. Lin-Manuel. A lot of people that I eventually will watch. I will relate, not compare it, but I'm like, my story and how I'm telling this story and how I'm trying to put it together. It's up there. It's a story that I can tell it. And be effective, just as that. Now, if you give me all the equipment as well, to actually shoot it or whatever, it can be just as dynamite. But you know what? I'm not going to rely on that, but I'm going to rely on my performance, and I'm going to rely on this story that I know will make an impact because it made an impact on me.
Sure.
So I definitely see and want to be in that status, in that bar. That's how I see my work. In a sense, and that's how I want my work to where it want to be. I don't. Whenever I do something, I don't want to set the bar low. I want to set it high, and I want to keep on setting it higher and higher and higher. Because at the end of the day, Spielberg already had the name, but his work became known because of the intention of how he wanted to present his work. Spielberg could have had a different type of volume in the streets. It could have been like, oh yeah, I know Spielberg. His great idea, but it's not executed. You know what I'm saying? Like that name, he made that name, and then everyone else went along with it and gave him the accolades and stuff like that. And I feel like, why can't I, be that? Why can't I be, Rick Herrera? Oh, that's that guy that actually create good stuff. That's Victor Cruz, Tree. He makes great stuff. You know what I'm saying? But before people start saying that, you have to believe that you can make that type of content and not rush. I feel rushing is the enemy of anything that you create. You got to make sure the pieces are put together properly. I'm big on work ethic. I'm big on, being on discipline, being on time for things. Like, because that in college, just how I was like pretty much molded in that sense. There were some things that didn't agree with, like when it comes to storytelling, because you follow a outline sometimes that they try to tell you. But eventually I had to find my own way, and also with Guru who helped me as well during that process. So yeah, I think I touched on a lot.
I admire your work ethic, and I admire your shows and what you've done and your success, because you're one of those folks that you made a decision that you were not going to wait on anybody, that you were going to do it the way that you wanted to do it. And I think that that's so dope, because too many people are waiting for something, and that something, they're not even clear on what that is. It's an idea of something, right? So they just don't do anything.
And that something may not even be what you really want in the end.
Correct. It can be a complete lie. It's an illusion. But you actually, you did the work. You worked with Guru to figure out who and what you are.
Right.
And you continue to do that, and you create your shows. And honestly, I mean, you are on an excellent path. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
You just keep working hard and know that, your story and your stories and the stuff that you're creating, for me, surpasses a lot of the things that I see that gets the production money and things that are required, but the story isn't as strong as it can be. Where I find that your story is fantastic, and I love that you dare to go there. So continue to go there, continue creating all these wonderful things. Now, as you're creating these different projects, what's your process like? Do you have like a set schedule of when you create, when you put things on paper? Do you have like a set schedule for your music, set schedule for your family? Because now you have a child.
Right.
Talk to me about your work ethic and diving into that.
So in college, I learned definitely that, scheduling, and because, they're preparing for those things and stuff like that. When you leave the real world to go to the real world. But a lot of people, like, it goes over their head, right? But I always learn from the why. I'm a huge observer. I love watching people, and I learn from that. So I learned I can either, and ever since I was young, I did the same thing. Like, I'm not gonna go to the alley and get shot because my boy just got shot. Why am I gonna follow him? I'm
the same alleyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the other alley. Fuck that. I'm not getting shot.
You get shot in that alley.
But it wasn't by the same dude that shot the other dude. Right. It's a new dude.
No, it actually happened to be the same guy, but he moved to another alley.
So it was. I learned that I had to like schedule time from there. So when I came out of college and then, working on myself, and then, was telling Gru I want to do a show, and she says, yep, I'll help you and stuff like that. And there was a moment where I was like, okay, how am I going to do this? Like, I didn't get so much guidance in the sense of like, she was like, just write. And I think that's the number one thing that like, even before her, I would hear from other writers, like, just write. I think we're looking for like, like a book, or like that automatically answers all our questions about our story, like what we're gonna write. But it's true, just write. So there's two phases to this. So before the marriage and the child, I had to schedule time to be a hoe out there and have a good time. I had to the job and stuff like that. And I would come home and I would schedule 2 hours to write, and then I would schedule an hour just to play the guitar. And then I would stick to that like Monday, like through Friday. Saturday would be for me. Sunday, of course, a rest day. I don't think about the world. Don't want to be a part of the world. I don't even come outside because like it's for me. But then also along the way, like some days you may not want to write. And I learned that that's okay.
It's okay.
You got to be flexible. So if I'm not writing on this day, let me flip it over. Let me just work on guitar.
Right.
And also trust the process of like, if nothing comes out, whether musically, creatively, writing wise, blah, blah, blah. I develop a discipline for that. And also not being hard on myself. I listen to and hear a lot of other artist friends and creative friends that are like, oh, I dedicated this amount of time and I only came up with a paragraph. And I used to be very hard on myself. My friends used to be hard on themselves.
Yeah.
And eventually I learned that's okay.
Right.
Because one paragraph today, one paragraph tomorrow, another paragraph maybe next week, it all adds up. Or maybe I'll have a week that I don't think of anything, but on that Sunday I think of a great like line or a great moment. I write that little bit down real quick, and I'm like, it could be a sentence. I learned that serves a purpose, or maybe doesn't, but it came to me. And then I would get a lot of messages, tons of on the train and little. I would see myself in certain things that I was acting out, and those would come to me, and I'm like, oh, I like that. I would think of that. I would write that down. So all that stuff was kind of like scheduled. Now, being married and having a child, I had discipline, but now I had to learn to be even more disciplined in the sense that I appreciate my time even more, where everything is scheduled, where I don't have the luxury of, if I don't write today, like I scheduled 2 hours to write today and I don't do it, I don't know where I'm going to do that again. Like I can't say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, because tomorrow is different, So
tomorrow is the day I clean the bathroom.
Right.
And I promised my wife that I'd do it.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So now it's overwhelming at times, but you get better with it with time, of scheduling things and respecting your time.
Sure.
And knowing that, and for me, family is, my family is very important to me, because that's something I didn't have growing up in a sense. Like, and I want to make sure my dad wasn't around. So I want to make sure that I'm around for my child. I want to make sure I'm also around as a husband, you know what I'm saying? Because prior to when we, created this child, me and my wife, we had great moments together, hanging out, blah, blah, blah. We had that relationship. We took that time to really get to know each other, because nobody was going to do that besides us, to really take that time. And now I want to be there. I think this holds more. Of course, I have my moments of tired and stuff like that.
Sure.
But now it's like, shit, you got the restless nights and stuff like that, and you're tired. And like, yeah, it was just until like maybe like 2 weeks ago, a week ago, I'm like, I got to wake up at 5:30 in the morning and I have to write.
That's right.
I said, I started seeing the trend, right? That I will come home, I deal, fill in those roles, do what we got to do. And then the time flies even faster. And I've always been an early person to like go to sleep. So at 9:30, we're in bed and I go sleep and I'm like, where is this time? So I had to talk to myself and be like, where am I gonna get this other time at?
You gotta wake up an hour earlier.
So I said, yo, you're gonna have to wake up, bro. At
Before everybody does.
And you gotta write. And then it was, in a sense, I got a little nervous because then I'm like, my brain, does it function at 5:30 to write? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because we're used to, like, sometimes my brain is like, yo, it's 8 at night, we about to write. And I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, I love it. And then I'm like, I can't go to sleep because now I'm on a high, I'm thinking about stuff. But I had to like train my brain now, the 5:30, go write, and then be happy that if it's a paragraph, 2 paragraphs, or I'm doing outlining, and then schedule all that. So yeah, you learn to adapt with that and like figure out how to make it happen. And I'm thankful that all those things that did happen, the discipline and the work ethic and the scheduling, that all played a purpose, because then it's like, when you get other responsibilities put onto you, you got to learn now how to make those things that worked for you in the past now even stronger to continue to work.
Right.
And it's like, all right, this is now the new phase of like, this is what, and you got to accept that too. It's like, sometimes you probably think about too, man, I remember I used to edit all at night, right during the day. Nobody's telling me shit. But then now you got to accept this new phase. Like, I'm going to write at 5:30 and then people will be telling me shit at 7 and 8. So,
and sometimes it'll be 5:30 in the morning, but both the kids wake up. So they're both on my lap. I even have this one picture at home where I'm working on my computer and my son is asleep on a pillow on my desk.
I saw that, yeah.
And my daughter is right next to me. And they're very involved.
Yeah.
They're very involved. And at some point, I just accepted that this is what it is. Talk to me about...
I think, honestly, that would be tough for me. I'm not going to lie.
Talk to me about, for you, those moments where you've made the plans and you're not able to honor those plans because it's unexpected. You got to tend to the baby. You got to help your wife with something. Talk to me about the tribulations there and how you've handled that. Because I know a lot of parents who are performers are listening or watching this podcast, and they're thinking to themselves, yeah, I run through these similar challenges. And it's nice to hear that other people go through these tribulations and they'll learn from this. Right. They're definitely learning from this. So talk to me about when you don't have the opportunity to create, and then sometimes you got to wait 2 weeks to have that little window of time.
Right.
Or the week, you just have to wait.
Sometimes.
Talk to me about that.
I'm still learning from it. Sometimes it is frustrating in a sense. So, for instance, I think this was probably 3 weeks ago. I'm watching the baby. My wife had to go run some errands, and I'm like, yo, all right, this is a perfect moment for me to go write. While she's on the floor rolling around, so I'll do some writing. Yeah. And she's usually fine, chilling with her toys, and I'm thinking it's gonna be one of those days too, right? Which you can't never predict. So I'm like, all right, cool. I get the laptop out. I start writing a little bit. She starts crying. So I'm like, I'm put on the fucking swing for a minute, and I'll fucking write. She fucking in the swing crying. I'm like, what the fuck? All right, I put on this fucking jumping toy shit. Just jump, fucking jump. You love this jumping shit. Just keep jumping. Shut the fuck up. Yeah. And I go back to writing. She's crying. So I was all right. I put her on the floor, right? Just with her toys again. Yeah. She's still crying. So I took the laptop down, and it got to me that she wants my attention. She doesn't want the jumpy toys. She doesn't want the swing. She doesn't want the toys on the floor. She wants dad. She wants my attention. And there was a moment, she's smiling at me. I look at her, and I'm like, all right. Because then I'm like, I know that look. I used to do that look. And I know what it feels like when you don't get kind of like that, that attention that you just want, and the innocent intention, that moment to connect. And I just closed my laptop and I was like, all right, I'm just not gonna write. And we had a good time. And then when she was like calm enough, she was still right next to me. I put the laptop up again and wrote 2-3 sentences. She was chilling. I was like, all right.
She's like, as long as you involve me in this process, Dad, you can write.
But, it's funny that so I think also talking about it too, right? And also accepting the frustration. Was I frustrated, that I wanted to write and I can't? Yes. Do I hate my daughter for it? No. But I'm like, damn, like you pick, out of all the times, you pick this time. Right? Whatever, you're a baby, I get it. Yeah. You don't want that moment. And then, being honest to yourself and actually like talking about it and realizing, look, tomorrow's another day. And you got something scheduled, but you'll figure it out. And then after that, like I like what you said, like having the kids around. I don't think for me I would be there, because when I write or if I'm creating, I don't want no one around. So and that's for me as a creative. Like I just go through so many things that I don't want my kids to. Like if I'm writing, sometimes I may like be in the moment and I'm yelling, I'm going through it. I don't want my kids to see that because I don't know if they will kind of understand that. Or, you know what I'm saying? So, or I may be crying, or if I was like, or I'm pacing around. I need my space to be in my world. So, that's when the communication comes in and you talk, with my wife, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to be in the room. I don't know what's about to go down, but I need my space for like an hour or so. And, and then vice versa. If she needs that too, because she's very similar, got you. You go do what you got to go figure out and stuff like that. I don't think I would. I don't know. I'm very particular about that. Like, I just don't know if I'll reach a level. Unless, like, my daughter's old enough to be, like, to understand almost the creative process, and she's very artistic. I'm like, all right, you want to see something crazy, so funny, so weird? It's on you, but don't judge me.
My daddy's crazy.
So yeah.
It's funny because as my daughter's gotten older, she's 6 now, and so she's very involved. I could have my own little time. I'm doing my thing. She comes over, Daddy, what are you doing? And she'll just start reading my scripts. She'll start reading them out loud. Then I realized, as much as I wanted to fight it in the beginning, I said, wow, she gives it life. It's not just reading it. She's good. And then I go,
she was your editor in the past.
She was my editor in the past life. So I'm like, read this line, and she'll read it. And she goes, Daddy, this is okay, but you should say. And she starts suggesting stuff. Yeah. I'm like, who are you?
Yeah, that's
and
dope.
Why is that suggestion dope?
That's great. So, I don't have to give you credit as a writer.
And then like, I must kill you now. But it's just so interesting that, the things that frustrate us, especially when trying to find time to do our thing as artists while having family. Yeah. You start to realize, like, this is an interesting door because it inspired her so much that then one night she wanted to write her own script. And so I said, okay, well, tell me the script and I'll write it for you. Because I saw her at first, and it was cute to see her like trying to write the script, but she was finding herself, she was like, Daddy, this is too frustrating. She was having a hard time. I said, look, you say, I'll write it. And the creativity that came from this little girl, we created a 4-page script called Leslie the Magician, and I was just like, this is so dope.
And then you told her, but I don't think there's an audience for this script.
Well, then I asked her marketing questions. Like, who's your target audience? How do you plan to pay for this? How does the companies make their money back? She started to cry and then went to her room. No.
He was like, that's life. And that's Daddy. Welcome to my world.
Oh, my God. You have a beautiful family. You have, and I consider, our children to be, at least for me, they're the greatest production ever.
Right.
How has your daughter changed you? How are you different today than before you had your daughter?
I think it got worse.
In what sense?
No. She definitely, it's still surreal, and I from what I hear from other parents as well, like that would never change. Like, surreal that you have children and you are a father or a mother. For me, in a sense, it's teaching me more patience. Is teaching me more being present with my daughter and my wife, as teaching me discipline, even more discipline. She's teaching me also like joy, and that's her middle name. Definitely to I love like chilling on the floor with her. And just like chilling. And
is
like,
she just as tall as you?
She's taller. Yeah, she's definitely tall. So she dunks on me sometimes.
Damn.
When we play basketball. It's
You take it to the
embarrassing.
park. You take it to the court.
Yeah.
She's schooling
Babysitting
you.
is expensive for a tall child like that because they just stepped on other babies.
Is the babysitter charging you for like 5 kids because she's so tall?
Yeah, pretty much. It's very expensive. So we just leave her at the basketball court.
Yeah.
And let everybody else raise her.
That's good.
But she's gonna continue to teach me, and she taught me a lot. She brought a lot of joy to our of course to our family, but to me as well, and also that like things are possible. You can do this. Things are very tough, and she brings. Of course, you see the innocence in the child, so you really look at that too. And I think she's very like calming, and also she brought this other love that I didn't know that I can have. You know what I'm saying? You're just hugging them and kissing them, and you're like, oh my God, they're so cute. And even still, when they go through their baby moments of crying and stuff like that, it's annoying, but you don't regret them and stuff like that. You're like, oh man. Also, and I touched on it, but it's so true. It's like, they bring you like lessons on like the show taught me how things are possible to make things happen. So this baby adds another layer, right? Because they are bringing a lot of love, but they also bring a side of income that now you have to provide, in the sense that like, whatever it's babysitting, the food, the formula, whatever, the things that they need too.
Sure.
It comes with an income part of it as well, but it comes with the same lesson of like, things are gonna be okay. You'll figure it out. You'll make it happen. At the end of the day, it's not so much about that. That's the least of your worries. Be in this moment like with us, But yeah, she's awesome, and I'm looking forward to like, and also for me, like I didn't grow up with a lot of kids around, so I wasn't like that person that had tons of. I do have nieces, but what I'm saying, I was always around children. So that aspect, I didn't know to be silly with them. I didn't know to like have patience with them. So all that's coming like now, and she's. I mean, I fucking love that little thing, like that tall thing. Like it's a thing that happened that grew, and now it's human. It's like, oh my God, like I get deep with it too sometimes. Like I can't believe that's you, and I'm looking forward to like seeing more of her personality when she's getting older. And I know it's gonna be a pain at sometimes, but I always love children like when they're able to like kind of like talk and like socialize in a sense, and take her to like. I hope she loves plays and like movies and stuff like that, because I would love, or be creative with like music. I would love to have that and like teach her those things and have those moments. So, but you want to patiently be there, because you never know what happens when they get older and they get the teething is another world that I hear from parents is like a nightmare. But
what, teething?
Yeah.
Just, vaya con Dios.
Okay, thank you. But yeah, it's been dope.
So your lovely wife, she works with you on projects. You guys are currently producing your podcast.
Yeah.
Tell me or share with us how that podcast came to be, and how you and your wife work together to make that podcast happen.
So the whole idea of the WIN podcast came out of frustration. I would reach out to tons of podcasts that I liked or enjoyed, and I would reach out and say, hey, I saw a couple episodes. I like what you guys got, and I would love to be a guest on a future episode on your platform. And I'll be very descriptive and send the media kit thing and stuff like that. And I honestly was like, genuinely want to be on the podcast. And I would get the silent no. And I'm just like, I didn't understand that. That got me mad. I'm like, say either yes or no. Just don't reply to, don't just don't be quiet on the email. Like I just never understood that. And of course you get tons of that in this industry. Mm-hmm. But I always been the type of person, like if I'm doing something and I want people, I'm going to give you a yes or no with a why or whatever, or even you're going to get a reply. Sure. I said, I don't understand how that became the norm. Mm-hmm. So I got frustrated. I said, fuck you. I'm going to create my own platform. I'm going to create my own podcast. And through that, once I got through the anger and got it down, I was like, well, what is this podcast going to be about? now that I went into a platform, what is it? Where are you going to do this? In the streets? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's great that you felt this passion, but now you got to, like, execute it, right? Right. And I'm like, all right, we'll make it happen. So then I start talking about, you know what? I'm always seeing interviews with celebrities or people that we know, and we're just glorifying them, and we praise them and all stuff, but we don't really know them. Right. I can say that I'm inspired by people because that is a fact, but I can't say I look up to them because I don't fucking know them. I can say that Victor Cruz inspires me. Victor Cruz I look up to. Why? Because I've been with him for a long time, or a good amount of time, to know what it takes to be where he's at and what the success that he has. Same thing with my mom. You know what I'm saying? I look up to her. You know, Guru.
And you have to because she's so tall.
Exactly. You know, my wife, people that I know, you know, friends, I know them. So I said, you know what? I want to create a podcast where the everyday people are the celebrities. Because those are the people that should be celebrated. Everyone has a story. Those are the people, before I started even being inspired to comedians or actors, these were the stories that I was inspired by first. These were the stories that I was around. Right. So I'm like, I want to do a podcast on that. Then my wife came along. She loved it. She was the co-creator, produced it. You know, shout out to Latea Theater. You know, I have a great connection with them. And, you know, we rented out a room and stuff like that. And, yeah, we went from there. And then we started figuring out. The New York Dose is another good friend of my podcast. I will ask them questions. One thing for me, if I don't know, I'm going to ask questions. How do you guys do this? I know the work ethic and the scheduling and the discipline will be there. Now I want to know, like, how do you guys do certain things? And I will ask questions. I will watch. I will observe from other stuff. And I said, okay, as long as the content is great, everything will figure itself out. And, and then from there, we just went on, and it's been a huge blessing because we didn't care if people listened to it. We didn't care if people like it. We didn't care if people shared it. It wasn't about that. It really wasn't. It really was what we got from it, from hearing these stories. And at the end of the day, these people feeling worthy. They should. Sometimes they don't. Most of the time, me? Why you want to interview me? And I'm like, why not?
Why not?
You know what I'm saying? Like, and the comments we've been getting has been a blessing. Like, oh wow, people are great. You know, are loving this. They're relating to this, and that's like how we felt. You know, and then working with my wife was great. You know, it has its ups and downs because we're both similar.
Let's talk about those ups and downs for a second. When you have disagreements, are you able to keep it separate from being a married couple? How do you handle the disagreements? Talk to me about producing together.
That's a great question, right? Because, you know, I've seen other married couples do things, and you have to learn how to separate. And that was a conversation that we had. We had to learn how to separate marriage and then like marriage talk and then like business talk for a sense, right? Teamwork talk. You know, so for instance, let's say me and you work and I'll say, yo, Vic, there's a prime example. Like, Vic, did you check up this thing? Like it could be a text or whatever.
Did you follow up with so-and-so? Did you look at this thing?
Did you follow up with this thing? Did you say this other thing? I'm not questioning if you forgot or anything. I just want to confirm, you know? So it's like, she'll be like, sometimes I'll be like, well, good morning, one. You know, so it's like, oh yeah, I'm just like,
right. Sorry, baby, I love you. Good morning.
Exactly. So
did you follow up with the next
So then I'm like, all right, good morning. Did you follow up? Like, so I used to tell
straight
her,
business from the moment the rooster
crows. Like,
to...
it's not that I used to tell her, it's not that I'm being an asshole. It's not that I'm being, it's that, you know, these are questions. If you do this to me, I don't find it rude. I don't find it that you're questioning my work ethic if I'm doing that.
Right.
You're also building trust, right? Because you're like, hey, did you do this? Because I'm no longer like in control of that. Like I know if I have to send an email, I'm going to send the email out. Boom. If I have to do something, I'm doing it.
Right.
Now you have somebody else, which I do trust because I know she produced a lot of things. But now it's building that trust physically and seeing it. Like, oh wow, they're actually doing it. So, or, you know, if I'm giving her notes or she's giving me notes, not to take it offensive as
take
if
it personal
as if you fucked up, and then also taking it personal in the marriage. You know what I'm saying? Like,
here's some notes from last night's podcast.
Yeah.
Are you saying that I'm not a good husband?
right? Exactly.
No,
So it's like,
just the questions you ask. Are you saying I'm not questioning good as a husband?
right. So it's like it's actually, you know, working through those things and knowing that how I say things, it's not coming from a bad source or something like that, and vice versa with her.
Yeah.
You know, it's just making sure. And then, you know, it's so funny, we got so adapted to that. Like when she would edit certain things, she's like, "You want to check it?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "Just check it to see if I did it good." I'm like, "If you didn't do it good, I'll find out when it's live."
Right.
I was like, so it's like you should look at it and make sure that, you know, it's good. I did it a couple times, so now I'm like, now you have the freedom. And like when I work with people, I was telling her too, it's like, I want you to feel just as like this is your podcast. So if you come up to me as like, got a great idea for this thing, blah 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 blah, and or I want to get this person, blah blah, I'm gonna honor and respect it. Right. I'm not gonna be like, no, I'm gonna ask you questions why you think this person or whatever, and like, but I'm gonna respect it, you know. And I'm like, well, do it. Like, you know, like most of the times I come up with her like, hey, so I'm gonna get this guy. Oh no, I saw this podcast. I think it would be great to put on it. I already sent the email for us. Like, I'm not waiting for the okay. I'm like, we're gonna put this out there, and then, you know, we're gonna figure it out and we're gonna do it. Like, you have that same power too, and have that freedom to do it. This is your podcast just as much, and like really wanting to put her more out there as well. I think it's big on, you got to be big on communication.
So it's like just encouraging her to be as confident as you feel in her, and you also feel in the process of what you're doing.
Right.
For her to just feel like, you know what, we trust each other, and the decisions that I'm making here and how I'm viewing this document, I'm going to send out. Another
prime example, right? She handles all the scheduling. So she says, I'm going to do it today, and I want you to see where I'm putting these people. And I was like, no, you do the schedule.
You schedule
and
it.
You tell me what are my dates, where I'm going.
Yeah,
I'm following you. You're the producer. Like, you have all that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that because I want to be an asshole to be like, I don't want to be part of that process. I'm like, no, you like, if whenever I work with people and you have a job, I trust you in that job, and I'm going to respect you and honor you in that job. So now you give me the schedule. I'm like, okay, cool. Works. Thank you so much. You know, but it was a lot of talking of certain things, because this is the first time that we're working together. Just like we have to work on this marriage when we worked on our relationship before we got married. You know, now you're working on this other element of now really working with each other. And I think what's huge is communication, listening to each other, and really, like, you know, having this dialogue back and forth, why this works, why this doesn't work, you know, and at the end of the day, finding a common place, because you guys both want the same goal: good content, good interviews, you know, smooth ride with this, and have fun with it, you know. And I think, you know, for her, this was another side that she didn't see, and like, you know, because you just see the finished product, you don't see anything in between. She didn't see anything between. People who watch shows, they don't see the work that goes behind that.
That was behind the scenes.
Because the same way how I, you know, talk to her in a sense like, did you do this? Did you do that? Did you blah 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 blah? I do that to myself. Like, that's the same way I'm telling. Hey Rick, did you do this? Did
you wake up? Did you check that? Follow up with that text, and then you tell yourself, "Good morning."
Yeah. No, absolutely. absolutely. That's exactly how. First of all, Rick, good morning. I was like, sorry about that. No, but that's how I tell myself. Did you do this? Did you do that?
Yeah.
You know you got to do this tomorrow, right? Did you like log it in? Did you get that person? And did you edit that yet? Why didn't you edit that yet? All right, we're gonna figure it out tomorrow. All right, cool. So it's like that's, and I'm not like, you're Rick. Why you said it to yourself in that tone? You know what I'm saying? I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say like that.
Am I failing as a self or as a producer?
Right. Exactly. So yeah, communication and separating. I feel separating the roles. Don't bring your marriage into the business and stuff like that, because I feel like it's separate, and it's different. But the tools that you use in your marriage, you got to bring that over to now work together. Communication,
compassion,
patience.
empathy.
Exactly. And, I feel when I look at her, I'm not, in those moments, I'm not looking at my wife. I'm looking at the producer. And and I want her to look at me, not as a husband, look at me as the co-creator of this and the host.
Right.
And I feel, because then if you put all that together, you could be like, oh, you didn't send that email out? Just like you didn't freaking pick up those things from the grocery store. You know what I'm saying?
I've actually seen that happen. I was at an event once where there was a couple that was married, and they were in a bad mood. I was hosting a show that they were producing, and the guy turned to his wife, because she was just like, did you get this? Oh yeah, just like you didn't, finish cooking those eggs in the morning. You had eggs for yourself, but not for me. It was just something along those lines.
It's unprofessional.
It's like, what is going on, and why am I witnessing this?
Yeah, it's like, that's the worst. You don't want to be like doing the like, oh, did you get the batteries? You know what? You always forgetting the batteries. You always forgetting my birthday. You always forgetting that I don't like milk. Like, what the fuck? Like, now
I'm lactose tolerant.
And the interviewer is like looking like,
okay,
guys, it's fine. Like, so yeah, separate that.
Season 1 versus season 2. Do you guys have you learned a lot, and have you improved the system to, schedule folks and interview them? Is the process smoother?
Yeah, definitely. Season 1, you're learning as you're going, and you still do in season 2. But in season 1, it was like a lot of figuring things out, a lot of like editing, things that you had to figure out, working together, the scheduling, oh, this person can't make it this day, but they did say. So it's like, how do we figure it out? So like one example I came up with was, you send an email to the person. They got 3 days to respond. If they don't respond in 3 days, we're moving forward to another guest.
Cut them off the list.
Cut them off. I can't wait, because waiting on you is gonna mess up this production. I guarantee you, if I was Spielberg or if I was someone for big name, you're gonna answer that email in 5 minutes. I'm looking at our product and our project as just like it's Spielberg, just like it's Ava DuVernay, just like that. Why am I going to wait on other people? And then one thing I learned in one of my jobs, and my boss said, don't let anyone hold or be in charge of your destiny. And he meant by that, because I used to wait a lot for emails and like thinking that they're going to respond. He was like, did you call them? Did you send a follow-up email? Did you call them again? Take action. And that I took that, did it for my job, but also did it with my projects. I'm not gonna wait on anyone. I'll wait for a certain extent, but I'm not gonna wait to the point now you're ruining my path of where I'm going. So we had to figure that out. 3 days. She was like, well, I'm gonna send a follow-up on the second day. I said, that's great. You're being super sweet. If it was me, I wouldn't do it. But I'm like, that's great that you want to send in a follow-up. And then she explained to me, well, maybe it went to their spam. Maybe they didn't get it. And then I was like, you're right. I said, so if I'm ever on somebody's project, or if I'm working on something that I'm involved, I look at it as something that holds weight, just like people who have these names in Hollywood and society. And that's how I treat my projects as well. At the end of the day, we're not going to allow anything to affect what we're trying to create and what we do. So when we're doing season 1, there was a lot of like, figuring things out, and it ran good. And then also having time to edit, giving yourself the time that you need to really now you got the content. Now how you're going to package it, market it in a sense, do promotion, stuff like that. And in the second season, it ran smoother with everything, stuff that we learned. And now what's happening in the second season is, how can we grow this? How can we reach more people?
Right.
What are some things we can do to get better with each other? Either audio wise or whatever. So now it's like thinking how to push the envelope in a sense to get better. You're always learning and growing and figuring things out. But in a sense, we got it. The basics we got down packed. Scheduling, getting the people, doing the interview, getting the audio. Now how can you get it out there more? But not so much of a. I remember someone said who was involved with like who's a expert in like marketing and stuff like that, and they asked us like, what is the goal of this podcast and stuff like that, and I was just like, the goal is to do it, and for us to have fun, and for us to learn, and for us to like hear these people's stories, and for them to have a platform to share it. Yeah, but what's your long-term goal? Like, where do you want to monetize, blah, blah, blah? Do you want to eventually get sponsors? And it's like, I'm not there yet. I don't want to think about that. Yeah. Well, you should. And I'm like, well, when the time comes. Second season, it still kind of feels that way, the same way I have fun. And now you'll look into, like, maybe how do you get sponsors? And, how do you get it out there? Now we're starting to look at those things, but it's still not a huge thing on our plate. Right. The goal, I still want to keep the goal as, have fun,
Yeah, people, when folks focus on the financials up front, they're looking at only that, and they remove.
This is gonna be like a 2-hour podcast. I love it. I'm just saying,
it's great. It's totally fun. Yeah. They remove the soul from it. There's no spirit there. This is about making money. In this case, people who always think like that, they forget that this is not necessarily your stream of income. Like when you have shows, you have built an audience that people will come to your shows. And they will continue to follow your shows. And you've been doing that very organically. So for you to have to ever approach it like that, it's kind of, it doesn't serve you. Yeah. And it doesn't serve you. And I think a lot of people try to approach it that way, but no, let it happen organically. I mean, look, the purpose of this podcast serves as a reference to my students, serves as a reference to people who come to my website and want to learn more about just different avenues to take as an actor. In your case, you're an actor and a musician and a producer who's created your own opportunities. You decided that. And I think most people watching this and listening to this can be inspired by your story. And those who have families know that it has not come to an end. Right. That there is still a way to make things happen. You don't lose yourself because you have children. You don't lose yourself because you get married. Instead, you should look at all these as major blessings because they truly are. You've experienced that. I've experienced that. My kids have made me much better. My wife has made me much better. There are things that I do in my life today that if I had not been married to my wife, I would not have learned those things. Right. So I'm a way better actor, a way better producer, a way better everything because of those blessings. So it's great that you brought that up because people are so confused that they feel like they need to approach these things financially. And it's like, well, approach it with your heart first. No, you're absolutely right. And you could keep on going with that part. I just want to mention, you said something that was great, that like you learned so much from your wife, and I learned so much from her. I felt, and I know that between her and my daughter, mainly Cloud, right? She was the final piece that I needed to learn from to become a man. And it was so funny because I'm looking at the word woman, and man is in that title already. Oh, yeah. And once you get to know who and what you are, I feel they are the final piece to you to fully become like a man. If you have, worked on yourself and stuff like that, and you stand on your own two feet, because they bring tons of lessons that I feel you can't get on your own, because you got some of those things from your mom as well. Sure. But there's a final piece now that working together and what they bring to make that full circle. And then, you have kids and part of that, and they bring also the finishing touches and to it as well. So, but you're right on the same thing as how people get caught up moving forward to what you were saying with they put money into it, and it's not.
becomes not fun anymore.
It'll come. It'll come. I think, like, I look at your success, I look at your shows, people come. And people come for many different reasons. Mm-hmm. You share positive messages. You connect with people. You care about them. You know, it's the way in which you do it that doesn't really involve money. It just involves real human connection.
Right.
And if you do that, there's no end to what you can do.
I think a big part of that, right, is, you know, I think what people need to realize too, like, you know, even when you have kids and all that stuff, that you really have to believe in yourself. You really have to have the drive and the passion to do it. Because if I didn't have that, then I would totally lose myself in my relationship and also my child. I would definitely not complete a lot of things that I wanted to do. I always had a feeling in me that I wanted to be something great within myself. And this is what I love, and this is a passion. The fire has to be there, because the opportunities can come and people can come, but they're not going to do these certain things for you. You have to do it at the end of the day. So, like, when I had my child, I didn't question that, man, I think I'm going to lose whatever I'm creating. I was like, no, because at the end of the day, the love that I have for her is just as strong as the love that I have my arts and my craft. And I'm still selfish with that. It was like, I know I got to get shit done and do that because it's still strong. Because I know if I don't do that, I'm going to be miserable, you know? So you got to know your why within. Why do you want to do this? And then carry on that why and that passion and that love to do it. And, you know, of course, you're going to make sacrifices, but it got to start with you. It got to start with you. And you carry that, you know? You could have, I don't know, so many other things in your way, but you still be thinking about, I got to do this and I got to finish it. So it got to start with you.
That's great, man. And I want people to connect with you. Where can people find your podcast? Where do they go?
Are we ending, bro?
You know, we coming to an end. You know, it's like when you're getting a massage and the lady starts doing on your back and you're like, it's coming to an end. For you, like, where can folks find your podcast, one, and two, if people want to watch, you know, clips or the entire show of The Naked Truth and Still Naked, where can they go to see your stuff?
Instagram is at RH Comedy, and on there, and if you just go in the profile, there's links to all my shows, the podcast. The podcast is on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, you know, Soundcloud, and it's called The Win Podcast. You go to my website, rhcomedy.com, but you could, you know, find everything on Instagram, RH Comedy, and just go click on the link in the bio, and all the links there to see the shows, every link to even see the podcast and where it is at, it's all there. So yeah, or, you know, you show interest, I even send it to you. I'm still big on that. Like, I'll just, if you like something, I'll send it. I'll be in your DM like, hey, by the way, you should check out this thing. Because I'm still always thinking of ways how to reach more people.
And continue connecting.
I never settle with what I have done already.
Yeah.
Like, I could be 40 something years old. I'm still saying, I did a one-man show called Naked Truth in 2015. You should check it out. Because I'm like, why not? It's content there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? How many stuff we see all the damn time on television. That's one thing. Before we end this thing, that's one thing I don't get, right? Like, we constantly see, like, people will say, man, I'm always seeing you, like, posting, or I'm always seeing you, like, the show. I say, okay, you're always seeing a Colgate commercial. You're always seeing a Popeyes commercial. Right. Do you complain about that?
Popeyes is good, though.
It is good.
Popeyes,
but are you complaining?
I'm not complaining about Popeyes.
I was like, do I have those type of people with me that's going to be promoted all the time? I got to do what I got to do, and I'm going to keep on pushing it out there. Why not? Why not? You know, why am I going to settle with just me not doing anything with it? I have this content. Keep on putting it out there. Keep on thinking of new ways how to, you know, just put it out there differently, and people, like, catch people's attention and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, I think it's great what you're doing, and I like that you have a variety of different promotions. I like how you promote it. You know, keep promoting, keep connecting with folks. I like your style. I like the fact that you don't just assume that people should just, you know, are going to go to your website or have seen it, but instead, like you say, look, I'll send you the link directly. If you want it, I'll share it with you. And I think that's great. You should never lose that, because even if, you know, and for me, look, we come from the same kind of training when it comes to spiritually. Like we have succeeded, we are succeeding, and the fact that we are our own bosses and we call the shots is dope. We don't have to answer to nobody when it comes to creating stuff. Obviously, you know, if you and I are getting a job in the world and it's an acting job, and we have, you know, we got to play our role and we have to follow certain rules and regulations.
Yeah, because we know when that's not our production.
That's not our world. That's not our production. When it comes to our production, we do it our way. And honestly, man, congratulations on just all your successes. I mean, it's truly great, man.
Thank you.
It's truly great.
It's a beautiful thing to create in this day and age, right? We really don't realize how blessed we are, because if we wanted to do this back in the days,
it was different.
There was no way.
There was no way to do it.
We had to go through these studios. We still could go through studios now or whatever. But what I'm trying to say is that
you don't need it.
Yeah.
To create
they'll come
a
to
film.
you now. You know what I'm saying? We couldn't afford cameras. There was no Instagram. There was no Facebook. There was none of these things that was accessible to us. Now we can. You can create stuff on your iPhone. You can create stuff, a podcast on, you know, with just one mic. You know, there's so many things you can do. There's an audience for everything. If you don't take advantage of it, you know, you're losing out. That's one. Two, you really don't have any excuses anymore. The excuse was no one's funding this, or no. You be your own funder. You save $10 a day, whatever, you know what I'm saying? That's right. And create your opportunity, whatever it is. And then be realistic, one. And two, know your why. Why are you doing this? To make money? Then you're not going to succeed. Right. Because, you know, it's not about that. It's about you creating it, doing it, following the lessons too that you learn from as well, and making it happen. And it's the perfect time to make it happen. And
I think the money side of it, if you start making money organically, if you figure out a way to make money with what you love to do, then it started in a great place. And so the money part of it, that just happened to happen, and it works, and you figured out how to work, and it's good, and it's pure.
Two things real quick.
we just keep topping each other.
Right. No, but it's true, because you're reminding me of certain things. Two things that I learned from Rob Hubel. He's an actor, stuff like that. I remember when he was on Facebook. He used to do a lot of stuff with Aziz Ansari and stuff like that. I reached out to him on Facebook, and I didn't know how to write a script or anything like that. He was so nice enough to like answer my Facebook messages. And I remember one thing because I was worried about like how to reach people, blah blah, and he ended it just like, if it's funny, people will find it. And he ended like that, right?
That's great.
And it's so true, and I believe in that. If it's funny, people find it. If it's whatever, people are gonna find it no matter what. It's there. It's the internet. And then another dude told me years down the road, because you know money came into my mind about a certain thing, and the guy said, "The money will come. The money will always come.
Yep.
That is the least of your worries." And he was absolutely right. The money will eventually come, no matter. And even if you do get that money, it's still not it's just satisfying a small need that you thought was a big need.
That's right.
And because it's not going to fuel your creativity. If anything, it might make more of a mess now at times if you have all that money in a sense. But when you started first creating and doing these things, it wasn't about money. It was about the love and the passion that you have for it. And
I love that.
You're going to top it right now. You got something else to top up?
3 things. We are going to end this interview for now, but we're going to have you back, of course. Continue blessings with your projects. And you know, your lovely wife and you have created a wonderful podcast. And thank you for having me as a guest. You're going to top that, aren't you?
Yeah, because I want to thank you, man, because, whoever's hearing it, or if you heard the first 30 minutes or whatever, or you get into the end, thank you, whatever. You know, it's cool.
Thanks for skipping to the end.
Yeah, because I know it's long, but because at the end of the day, it wasn't about you guys. It was just us talking.
It's just us.
So, no, but thank you, man, for, not only being a friend, but a spiritual brother, but your story is inspiring, right? Because, I saw you making things happen, right? And I always said that was super inspiring. One, doing your classes and meeting you from there, but then two, getting closer to you and actually seeing the behind the stages things. I learned from it, from the good, the bad, the success, certain things where you made mistakes in. I learned from all that. Like I was always a sponge around my community and my family. Right. So I'm like, okay, I saw what he did there. I'm not gonna do that, but I saw what he did amazing there. I'm gonna do that. And just seeing another person of, color, who's Latino, and making things happen, that spoke volumes to me, right? Because now you was my John Leguizamo that I can touch. I couldn't touch him in
Touch
real
me
life.
anytime.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you was that guy. I was like, now, like, everyone that I looked up to, I said, no, they inspired me. But, like, now, this is a dude I look up to because not only as a human and spiritual level, I saw what he was doing business-wise. I saw when things didn't work out. I saw when you come right back up again and figure things out. I saw this office, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's truly is inspiring, and people are if people don't notice it, I noticed it firsthand.
Well, thank you.
And I mean, of course, you always got my love and blessings, but you was a huge part of that as well. You know what I'm saying?
Wow,
and
thank you,
along
brother.
with Guru as well. But you're the one who brought me to Guru, and right. But even before that, you was showing me a lot of things through your actions. You know what I'm saying? I was like, that's dope. Because what I saw at the end of the day, we're going to go to 2 hours after this. We're going to go to a commercial break.
You got to see what I've got to top this.
No, because what I saw at the end of the day, I saw a hustler. I saw a guy that is willing to put things on the line, figure things out, whether he's going to be hard-headed at times to figure things out, or maybe he's going to keep punching. He's going to keep punching. It's that Rocky story, you know what I'm saying? And to me, that was like, that's me. That's, you know what I'm saying? That is who I am too. And, I'm going to keep on striving and do fucking things. So you're our huge motivation, especially at that crucial point of like figuring things out. And then you pass me along to Guru and stuff like that. And I learned so much from her. But you was that piece that brought in the show. So yeah, I appreciate you tremendously.
Thank you, brother. I love you so much. Thank you for those sweet words. Now I don't even know how to end this, but I will. Listen,
Put
man.
the crowd, that's it.
Just got to put the crowd. You just got to. You know what? We got to be
Raise
loud.
it, double it up.
We got to double it up. Hold on, we got to double it up. Yeah. Listen, brother. Thank you so much for being on the show. Just one last time, tell us where we can find your podcast, as well as where we can get links to your shows so folks can remember.
At RH Comedy on Instagram. Go in the link in the bio. It has all the links, and rhcomedy.com.
Beautiful, man. Well, I can't even breathe. You knocked the wind out of me. I love you, brother. Thank you. Oh, yes.